The show
We're
is as
live.
long as you want it to be, sir.
Oh, we're going to be here until at least 8 o'clock your time then. Hey, everybody, we're live. Welcome to Habanos Saturday. We have Reza, as always. And Reza is going to give us a history of a cigar today. And he pronounces everything properly in Spanish.
I'm
Ooh, I
making
would
an
watch it
effort.
just for that.
I'm making an
Yep.
effort. I've
He is. He is. He has
since we
pants on.
started since we started this thing about doing Abanos histories, and
Right?
let me correct myself and let me put
Right.
it out there. I have been asked very nicely to pronounce Abanos properly. So you don't pronounce the H.
Right?
A lot of people make that mistake. It's obvious. We live in the Western world. It says an
Sure.
H. You pronounce the H, Habanos, but it's not
Um,
Habanos.
it's
The
Abanos.
Spanish pronunciation, or as Americans would say, pronunciation, but actually it's the pronunciation,
Pronunciation, sure.
is Habanos. Okay,
Abanos.
and since I've
Okay.
been doing these little Habanos histories, I think
Yeah.
I mentioned to you last time what is happening very nicely is people are contacting me. They're sending me bits of information, bits of little histories, and in that I'm interacting with very, very authentic, as opposed to fake, yeah, authentic Abanos aficionados from Cuba.
Right.
And spending more and more time with them in the last couple of weeks. As I mentioned,
Nice.
I even put up on my Instagram posts. I had a herf with Anna Lopez and
Which
her
that interview,
husband
that
Alberto.
interview is coming out. That interview
That
will be
interview
coming
will
out
be coming
shortly.
out soon. And when you spend time around these people who pronounce the names of all the cigars and the brands and the
Right.
vitolas in that authentic fashion, you feel, well, at least I do, I feel slightly embarrassed from time to time that I'm getting the pronunciations wrong. And I think that's a very important part of I any culture, but cigar culture even more, because really it's a this product is from the Spanish speaking part of the world. Even they have little sort of like not issues. They have little sort of like differences in pronunciation depending on dialects, etc., etc., etc. But I like to generally get stuff right, and so I'm beginning to make a little bit more of effort, not just to do a little bit of research on these little brand histories, but to try and pronounce the names of certain key facts like vitolas and where these which factories these
Right.
cigars are made in, or perhaps which fields they're in, or in which regions in Cuba they're grown in. If I get
Right.
these wrong, I'm more than open for criticism for that. Get me? I'm just trying. I'm
I have
practicing,
a question
practicing,
though. If
practicing.
even if you get them right, can we still criticize you?
You can criticize me, and I think it's your role to criticize me.
Yes, it is. That's what I do.
It's called water off a duck's back.
Oh my
Um,
God. Who's the duck?
I've been on this planet long enough. I've developed a thick skin. Bring it on, you know.
Okay.
So
Well, you know what we'll do for the
go
fan
for it.
that's watching, and then
Mhm.
because we rebroadcast this later, and if you're watching live, please feel to ask questions, say hello. We'll field those, but and tell your friends. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Say that at the beginning now, and we're gonna do the intro, and then he can say his bloody hell. And then we're going to start the actual show because now we've bantered. And in our contract, it says we have to banter for at least 3 minutes. And we did. Now we can
And
talk.
we did.
And we did. So we're done. Here we go.
This is True OF Entertainment.
Welcome to Habanos Saturday, the fastest growing cigar show on YouTube with over 100,000 subscribers. Come join us every Saturday live. Every Saturday live.
Hey, we're back, kids. I just like doing that. I feel like a 1960 disc jockey, you know? So, because I look
I
like one,
think you are.
apparently.
I think you are
I don't think
1960s
so.
disc
I'm
jockey.
a 1960 something, I'll tell you that. So there you go. More like the year 60, not 19 anything. So there you go. Well, it's good to see you, my friend. You've had an exciting week. You had a herf with Anna Lopez and her husband that lasted 3 hours long, which will be coming in out as an interview about 15 or 20 minutes next week or the week after, because it's going to be in black and white, like the Zhao interview. For you
It's a
people that haven't,
noir-esque kind of thing.
it is.
I'm trying hard. Maybe I'm over pitching this. Yeah, I'm trying hard to have even our videos in sort of like not contemporary fashion, it's sort of an old school
Mhm.
vintage fashion. For me, it's slightly creative. It just sort of
Yeah.
like I like old black and white movies, so there's the influence.
I,
If you don't
I,
like it, what you could do is just switch off.
yeah, or just listen. Anyway, so the Zhao interview is out. If you go to our channel, go under playlist, you look for Habanos interviews
Yep.
and histories, and there's all the except for last week, so it hasn't gotten done yet, but it will. But for the Zhao's
No, they're all
interview,
there.
there's our
They're all there.
histories.
They're all there. They're
Well,
all
we didn't
there.
do last week's. We didn't do last week's the Cohiba one. We didn't do that one yet.
Ooh. No, but it's
Yeah.
up. It's just the
It's
thumbnail
up
is wrong.
here. It's in the bigger program. It's not in
Oh, I
the. It's
see.
not
Oh,
you.
I
You
see.
didn't.
It's not in the
Yeah.
compartmentalized
Right,
little
because we
section.
haven't made it pretty yet, but that'll be there as well.
The
Today's will be
new word, the prettification. The
prettification.
prettification.
Yes, Rizza hasn't prettification yet, so it'll be there shortly. So it's there. It'll be there. If not, it's on last week's
Thank you.
show.
And don't call me
But
shortly.
yeah, I won't. So and the nice thing is that last week's show did very well. People from around the world are loving it. And let me just say this: when he mentions a cigar, folks, and if you're in London, they seem to sell out. So if you're watching this live, whatever he mentions, go get it now because by Tuesday there's none left and they have to order it. So there you go. And
Well,
that's it.
this week's brand, are you going to
Yeah.
cue me or can I go for it?
You can just, I'm going to just look at the time and go, you're on, you're live, baby.
Right. Well, this week's brand is not going to run out because it's relatively plentiful. Now, I've
Mm.
gone this week to the opposite end of the spectrum from those very high profile Cohibas and Trinidads and I started my little journey on K Dorsey. I am wearing this shirt for a reason. I wanted to have something green on because this week's brand is, let me get it in the camera, Vejeros. Okay.
Yes.
And Vejeros is a tribute, the Spanish name for farmers is a tribute to the farmers that grow the tobacco in the region of Pinar del Rio. Sorry, I had to look at my prompt there. I want to get all these names correct. And this cigar was made, and there's like lots of different tin sizes of this cigar. I mean, they come in tins, sort of like an accessible thing. It's very funky. Tins of 16 cigars. Uh, I think they've got 4 or 5 different vitolas. It's relatively inexpensive. It's a long filler cigar. This factory where they were made is called the Francisco, let me get it pronounced, Don Etienne. Now, my friend, Anna Lopez's husband, Alberto, very kindly sent me in a message saying, pronounce it properly. Francisco Don Etienne factory, which started making these cigars approximately 1961, and they also made cigarettes. And Alberto, shout out to Alberto Mendoza, Anna Lopez's husband, said that actually, interestingly enough, this is something most people know, but just to add to my historical knowledge, this is the same factory where Trinidad cigars are made.
Mm.
So really quite interesting. Cuba is a very secretive place. You have like very high-end product made next to something which is not considered to be that high-end, but perhaps shares the same quality, same characteristics as high-end products. So God knows how they differentiate these leaves and products from marketing. Of course, there's a certain degree of extra input to make higher end products like the Trinidad and the Cohibas. But it's interesting that these are made in the same factory. It's a bit like saying that, Louis Vuitton bags are made in the same factory as something much cheaper. So there must be some crossover, intellectual capital crossover, perhaps some product crossover. So I don't know. And Cuba is a very opaque market. So who knows what's going on there. But this brand is very interesting to me because it was originally, the backstory is that these cigars were made for local Cuban, local events, even national events or government gatherings, etc., etc., etc. And it was only made available to the global market around 1997. So from 1961 all the way to 1997, no one really had access to this brand, which is a very economical brand by way of Cuban cigars to smoke. I mean, the tiniest cigar they do is sort of like a torpedo. Torpedo is not a vitola. I've been assured that torpedo is just the shape. It's called the Mananitas, which I used to smoke last year at breakfast quite a lot. It's a great, great breakfast cigar. Small cigar, packs a punch. Very, very nice cigar. And so this brand was made available to the public in 1997. And then, almost sort of like 13, 14 years later, had a major rebrand where it got to this level. So it used to have an old band with a V on it, but that V is very, very noticeable. Vegueros. And Vegueros means farmers, dedicated to the farmers, a locally grown product for the local market in Cuba, for national events, for important days. And now you can go out and smoke it. There's my history.
Very, wow, that was awesome. You did that, my friend, in 4 minutes. I am impressed.
I try to get it under 5 minutes because I want these short, snappy histories that hopefully entice people into trying something and
Right.
exploring deeper, maybe doing a deeper dive. Maybe I scratch the
Right.
surface, maybe you go underneath the surface and find something that I didn't mention, or uh, something more interesting that you can share. So,
Yeah.
write in,
Now I will,
send your
and I
insight.
will, and Cigar Analyst did. He said, because last week he said Rizza was going to tell us about Cohiba Part 2. So he was like, I'm looking forward to seeing
No,
Cohiba
Cohiba
Part
Part 2.
2.
Cohiba Part 2 will be there, which will be the Behike.
Uh
But
huh.
today, for some reason, I don't know what it was. I just wanted to do something to
Okay.
contrast and leave those people that were interested in Cohiba Part 2 a little bit lingering to next week. I wanted a
Hmm.
little bit of a contrast thing. And plus,
That's what that.
because of a really hot day, I was going to wear this shirt. And because the
Yeah.
shirt is green, I thought, let's tie it in. So
Right.
my
Now, did you?
brain is wired that way. That's the way my
Wow.
brain is wired.
Can I tell you that is fat? I'm sorry. That was fascinating. That you're way now. So what else are you going to talk about? You got like an hour to kill. That's it. We've done the whole thing.
No,
You
that's
got to
it.
talk
That's
about
all over. That's
politics.
the show. Now, you asked me yesterday, what are you going to talk about? Now, this is
Yeah.
very interesting dialogue that sprung up between a few people, and it's found a little bit of a thread, and I'm getting more and more interested in this.
Okay.
So, when I had this smoke with Anna Lopez, maybe about a week ago, we were smoking, and Jao was there, and
Right.
Alberto and Christian were there.
Sure.
We were smoking the Monte Carlo, not Monte Carlo, the Monte
Monte
Cristo. I
Cristo.
don't know. I was thinking
Wow.
Monte Carlo because the F1, the Monte
Yeah.
Cristo Carmen, which is some
Right. Right.
serious, pardon me, fuck off cigar. Very, very nice cigar. I always smoke the Open Slam, which has just
Right.
been released into the UK market. And I don't know how, but our conversation went towards the histories, etc. And then one thing led to another. We started talking about the wrappers of
Right.
cigars, the colors, and when you start riffing on these topics, the interesting stuff comes out of the conversations. In fact,
Right.
actually, I was talking to Anna Lopez about the history of Cohiba and how I thought that perhaps Eduardo Riva, the guy who used to roll Cohiba cigars before Castro took them on,
Right.
uh, when he was asked to divulge the recipe of the Cohiba cigar, he may have been asked to do so at gunpoint. So we
Right.
were
Right. Right.
talking about the secrecy. We were talking about the secrecy and the of ingredients and methodologies in the cigar world, and we're talking about this as sort of like when two housewives want to share a recipe, the
Right.
housewife who owns the recipe will always give the recipe without one key ingredient, so as to
Like the
preserve that
chocolate
legacy.
chips. Wait, so before you go on to what you're about to say, for the people that don't know, and there's a lot of people that don't know who Anna Lopez is,
Mhm.
and I know, like, we'll tell everybody how important Anna actually is, and her
I mean,
husband in the cigar.
in modern day terms, because this lady, she's worked for Hunters and Frankow for at least the last, I'm tempted to say 15 years, but I think she's been there perhaps longer, since maybe
Okay,
20 years, right? She's worked for
right,
Hunters and Frankow. Before that, she worked for Abanos SA in Cuba. She's Cuban. And this woman was instrumental in launching some key brands into the world market in that 97, 98 period, Trinidad
right,
being one of them. She's heavily associated with the Trinidad Fundadores and the Trinidad Reyes in terms of blend and getting these cigars to market. So, in some way, I said this to you before off camera, and you
yeah,
smiled. She's like, imagine meeting the person that was responsible for the sort of the flavor profile of the Big Mac and how big that's
yes,
become. in terms of global. So in terms of Cuban cigars, like most people know Cohiba, most people know Trinidad. They kind of understand the mythos behind these brands. People even don't know anything about cigars can say, "Oh yes, that's a Cuban cigar" when they look at the band. So she's
Right.
one of those very key instrumental people. And so luckily luckily for people like me, she's based in London, and we can interact with her. We can sort of pick her
Right.
brain. We can sort of ask her stuff that perhaps it would be more difficult to ask even in Cuba. So there's a
Right.
little bit of distance, right? So we'll talk about cigar wrappers, the color of cigar wrappers, and we'll talk about how cigar wrappers may or may not influence the flavor of a cigar. And this, in my mind, has activated some sort of like an interesting thread that I'm not really willing to let go of, because in the past I've asked very, very senior people, like for example Sean Cowley of Hunters and Frankout, who is the head of operations. I asked him like 15 years ago about the wrapper, and he said, some people say it imparts a flavor, and some people say it doesn't impart a flavor. Okay, it's
Right.
really up to you how you take it. So when I was talking to Anna about this, she was saying, well, actually, you know what? The wrapper, which is the most expensive part of the cigar, because it has to be flexible, it has to be
Right.
something that has to wrap around the cigar and be strong enough to hold it together. It goes through a period of fermenting, and lots of water is added. If you don't add water, it'll crack, break, and it'll be gone, right?
Right.
So we started discussing, well, what water are we using? Are we using spring water, mineral water? Are we using desalinated water? From what part of Cuba is this water? And she's like, and then I sort of look in her eyes, which was, well, this is something that not everyone is going to share with you, right? And I don't think
Right.
she was prepared to share with me as well. I leading one thing leading to another thing, I'm coming to the conclusion that the darker wrappers have had
Right.
more moisture applied to them.
Okay.
Obviously, because they have taken longer to mature to that darker. So if you just take an autumn leaf that's fallen off a tree, right? In order to preserve
Right.
that leaf, even between a book or whatever it is, yeah, you have to keep adding moisture or spray it with water from time to time.
Right.
Otherwise, it will crack and break away and it will
Right.
disintegrate. Yeah. But if you
Right.
notice, if you keep a leaf moist, it can stay flexible and pliable for a longer period of time. So the same thing with these wrapper leaves. And so then the next question arises, and I was having a chat yesterday with one of the chaps that works at TomTom, Craig, who's actually going on to another place. But anyway, we were having a long discussion, a philosophical and technical discussion about whether the type of water changes the flavor or characteristic of the wrapper.
Okay.
Is it detectable? So are we talking about a grain of salt in a glass of wine, or are we talking about 20 grains of salt in a glass of wine, or are we
Right.
talking
Right.
about... So we know there's more water added to the wrapper to make it darker.
Right.
Does it make a tangible difference to the taste? Well, that's still out there, right? Yeah,
Right.
because we don't know whether the human senses can detect that extra minerality or saltiness or whatever it may be.
Right.
And then we were talking about the psychology of it, because if you look at a darker wrapper, certainly me, if I look at a darker cigar, whether
Right.
it's strong or not, my mind always or is already preparing me to smoke something strong. So it's slightly psychosomatic,
So like a
if you know
Medora
what I...
wrapper, if you will. So you
Like
have
a
the
Maduro
natural, the
wrapper, right?
Medora.
There are
Yeah.
some you can pick up a Maduro cigar or a
Right.
Maduro wrapper cigar,
Wrapper.
and it gives you
Right.
nothing. But in
Right.
your head, there are some cigars. There are some New World cigars, for example, that are not as strong as they look.
Okay.
If you
Cool.
know what I mean, they look the part, but they're not that strong. Some are very light, but they're exceedingly strong. So the wrapper can play with your mind a little bit, but it certainly does play with your mind, right?
Right.
And so the wrapper color, whether it does impart a flavor or a strength or not, can psychologically make you think that it is.
Mm.
It can be a little bit of a magic trick. A bit like cigar bands, even. Like, when you smoke a Partagas, most Partagas bands are red, apart from the new Linea Maestra series, which has got a blue band, right? Red is a sort of a flame-like color. It's a hot color. And
Right.
you're already preparing yourself for a strongish, chili, aromatic smoke. You're in your head, perhaps,
Right.
as contrasted with K D'Orsay, where the bands are sort of that mustardy yellow, in order to tie in with elite French brands like champagne brands, which is sort of a
Right.
creamier, softer. It brings you down. The Vegueros, for example, this green color,
Right.
they have the green band, and the reason why they're green is to give you a reminder of the leaves, because this represents the farmers. So they're around agriculture and greenery, etc. So it's a much more farming kind of color. So these color cues, whether it's in the wrapper or the band, they're color cues. They're sort of psychologically attacking you and preparing you either for a surprise or for the actual goods. So
Gotcha.
so this was a little bit of an insight into a discussion that started
With
a
the
week
cigar
ago.
analyst, apparently, who said you had this discussion with him the other day. It's good if you read the comments while you're on. I'm just saying.
Yeah,
With
no,
the
I
cigar,
try not
the,
to read
cig-
the comments because I go with the flow, but from time to time,
but cigar
um,
analyst said that that's the rapper the combo that you and he had the other day. So
well,
that's very interesting.
I find it interesting. I'm glad, Stephen, you find it interesting. I'm glad that Ali. In fact, I was having a very brief chat with Ali. So Ali, shout out to you. I hope you're well. Um, the 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 This is a sort of a debated item,
Right.
whether the wrapper imparts flavor or not. It's not a big debate. I mean, it's not
But what
something
what is it? Let
that.
me ask you this: Anna Lopez, being, if you will, the expert, what does she think? Does the rapper give you flavor, or is it
Well,
just the
I'm getting
fill?
I'm getting an education because we've had a few jokes,
Right.
we've exchanged a few stories. It's not just Anna; it's her husband as well, Alberto, who's very kindly given me some support on these histories.
Right.
And going forward, we're going to try and give your audience
I
more
mean,
and more
your audience.
sophisticated, more and more sophisticated insights. These are sort of like teaser
Right.
insights.
Okay.
I'm educating myself in the process, by the way. I've been around
Okay.
cigars for a hell of a long time, but I'm kind of trying to get into a place under the wrapper of the cigar, inside the physical cigar, the feeling of actually being a
Right.
cigar.
Well, I have a question now that you want to be a cigar. That in itself is a whole Freudian thing we can discuss later. And I'm on a couch, so there you go. Um, is Anna and her husband ever going to come on the show live so the fans can ask them questions?
Um,
It's. I'm just asking. If they don't, it's okay.
I don't know the answer. You'd have to stay tuned to find out.
Ah, very good. And Allie K wants to know, hey, Stephen, what is your favorite rapper? I would think Eminem is my favorite rapper. I think
I would have said
Run DMC. No, I like Maduro raps.
Ice Tea.
I'm a fan of
Ice Tea.
Maduro. Ice T, Ice T. Yes, there you go.
Ice
No, I
Tea.
think
Today was
Maduro
a good
is my
day.
favorite. Or Ice T. Yes, it's hot there. It's hot here. But anyway, no, Maduro, I think is one of my favorite rappers. I'm not a fan of the Connecticut for some reason. I don't know why.
Well, you may be talking at odds because there's clearly a large audience that says it makes no bloody difference what color the rapper is.
It's psychological. Can I tell you? I like my
I
Maduro
think it's a
rappers.
mixture of a few things. It
Yeah.
clearly is a mixture of a few things because if you look at the wrapper, if you look in profile of a cigar, the wrapper is a
Mhm.
fairly small element of the rest of the
Right.
cigar. It's just a skin around the filler. I
Sure.
mean, really, you're getting all the flavor from the filler.
Right.
Having said that, I gave you this analogy of, is it 1 grain of salt in the wine glass or is it 20 grains? And how many
Right.
grains of salt do you need to put in a wine glass before you can actually detect that the wine glass has got salty? Do you know
Right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And does that translate? So I think jury's out. And I think, I think the common consensus is that whether a wrapper gives flavor to a cigar or not, it's always a minimal amount.
I would agree with that.
It's the
Yeah.
lightest dusking of seasoning. It's the
Hmm.
lightest. I'm sure it does. I'm not sure how many people's palates are sophisticated enough to detect it. I'm trying to give you very
Right.
reasonable,
Right.
intelligent answers because in this period of me trying to be serious, I have to get technical from
Well,
time to time. I know you don't enjoy it. I know you like me saying everything, everyone can fuck
no,
off.
no.
But
I can I
I
tell
know.
you, I find this fascinating because my cigar knowledge. I went from kindergarten. Now I'm in middle school. I enjoy this because that's getting to my PhD level, and I enjoy this because it makes me appreciate what I smoke
Yeah.
even more. And now we do have a question from a fan. The cigar that you just reviewed, they want to know what a good cigar in that brand is to start with. Like, what would you start with if someone's going to run out in a store in London today? and
They're,
snatch up some
they're,
cigars.
all the Vejeros are relatively reasonably priced.
Okay.
Okay, we're talking sort of like the Mananitas, the smaller ones. You can probably buy them for about 15, 16, 17 pounds.
Okay.
I mean, retail. I'm sure you can go and source them, online. Less. I'm talking per stick, less
Right. Right.
expensively. And the Centro Fino, which is a good cigar. There's the Centro Gordo. There's the Intertiempo. Don't ask me what the sizes are. These are the bigger ones, right? Yeah, I'm not good on the Vitola sizes, but I can kind of remember the name. Um, I would, to be very honest with you, if anyone wants to start on Vejero, go and get the smallest one, the
Right.
Mananita. It's torpedo shape. Snip it as least. Don't do a V cut. Please, everyone, try and avoid. This is an opinion. You can put my opinion in dustbins. Avoid doing V cuts on these torpedo cigars. You'll find that they get very soggy at the end. Just do a straight cut, as shallow as you can, and
Right.
sip on this cigar with a coffee or a Coke in the morning. You will get a flavor for it. You'll get a
Right.
taste for it. You'll say, wow, this cigar smokes like a bigger cigar. And that
Okay.
is where you get the oils of the tobacco delivering more than something much more expensive or bigger. So the
Okay.
Mananitas. I wonder if I've
All
got 10
right.
of Mananitas.
Now let
Yes,
me
these are
just
the
say this,
Mananitas.
Mister.
Actually, there you
There
go.
you go.
That's the one.
There you go. Those. All right. So Mr. Hussein, I can't pronounce his first name because you guys make fun of me all the time. I was at an event this week with Sean from Hunters.
Oh, yes.
Apparently, yeah, sure. There you go. And he was explaining that the wrapper imports minimal flavor on the actual palate.
Well,
Now,
well,
however,
well,
because it was direct contact with the lips, we're actually picking up the flavor more than we think. And there you go.
Well, there
That's what he
you
says.
go. I suspect Sean Carson was probably hanging out with Sean in City of London Cigars. I would have thought they're possibly doing the
I wasn't
slams.
invited. I
They're
don't
probably
know.
doing the
Yeah.
slam tasting. Now, you may find that I'm actually just saying the same thing as Sean is saying. He said minimal flavor. Minimal flavor means there is
Right.
something there. Now, how sophisticated is your palate to pick it up? There are some expert cigar smokers who
Right. Right.
cannot do blind tastings. This is a very weird product. It's a very weird industry. There are people out there that know a hell of a lot of cigars, but if you give them a blind tasting, they'll freely admit, I can't tell you what brand this is. I can tell you whether this is good tobacco or bad tobacco.
Right. Right. Right.
And that brings me back to, again, sort of all roads lead to Anna Lopez on this one.
Yeah.
Anna Lopez did say to me, and this is not recently, this is before. It's actually, and I'll give another shout out to Jorgito, another Cuban guy in London. He runs the La Casa del Habanos in Harrods, which is managed by JJ Fox. He's there.
Okay.
Jorgito said, listen, when we're in Cuba, right, we don't talk about, I'm getting cedar, I'm getting coffee, I'm getting,
Yeah.
that's all for foreigners to talk that way. Yeah. It's
Right.
their
Right.
way. It's their way of communicating what they're getting out of a cigar. What we say in Cuba is this is good tobacco or this is not good tobacco. This is what we say,
Right.
right?
Right.
Okay. And now it could be that in Cuba, you probably have your head shot off if you say anything is bad. Could be.
Right.
I don't know. There's lots of politics involved everywhere in the world, right?
Right.
Culturally. But actually, it kind of reminds me of something that's homegrown in my country of origin, which is Pakistan, which is mangoes.
I
And
thought
I've had this
something else.
conversation.
Never mind.
No, 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 no,
Never
no,
mind.
no, no. The reason why I say this, right? The way
Yeah.
to eat mangoes actually is you get a bucket, you fill it with ice, you put the
Yeah.
mangoes in the bucket, you let them
Yeah.
really cool down. And when you cut the mango,
Yeah.
from that cold to warm, as that mango sort of melts on your mouth or in your palate from freezing to that, then it releases the sugars and you taste it better.
Oh,
Right.
nice.
Okay. Now,
Good to
now,
know.
now, how do you describe that to other? How do you describe it to people? I've just told you. I've told you a very simple trick for tasting a great
Yeah.
mango. You don't refrigerate it. You put in you shock it. You put it in ice water for a
Right.
good hour. Right. You shock it. So
Hmm.
when it de-shocks, it releases sugars in your mouth that you will taste in a different way. And
Right.
I'm sure the cigar smoking experience, which is sort of a with your mouth and it's olfactory, in other words, within your sinus and your smell, it's a very, very combined experience of nostalgia, taste, flavor, smell, and it mixes up. And so your palate has to be fucking sophisticated, if you don't mind me using French. It has
All
to be
right.
fucking sophisticated to pick up that seasoning, the wrapper. And I'm going to start describing the wrapper in a way no one else, no Cuban has described it, no cigar aficionado has
Right.
described it. The wrapper, as far as I'm concerned, is the seasoning on a cigar.
Very
Folks,
nice.
you heard it
Okay.
here first. This man is
Yeah.
going to a different fucking level when it comes to these things. And if you're
Yeah.
not going to watch these shows, you're going to miss out on that kind of crap. Yeah. So the
Just wait,
wrapper
really,
is
really
the
quick before you go
seasoning
into this.
that only whether you're an aficionado or not, your palate has to be so fucking
Mhm.
refined as to be able to say what is that wrapper doing? Now, the problem
Right.
is most of us always taste the cigar with the wrapper. So
Right.
I guess this experiment, the scientific experiment, is to smoke the same cigar without the wrapper to see if there is a discernible difference. The problem is when you take the wrapper off, there's more oxygen going in, so it burns in a
Right.
different way. So I don't know how
Right.
you would do this in laboratory conditions, but my fiendish little brain is trying to work out.
Yeah. I see that.
And if you can play along with that, you can live in my delusion, then
There you go.
cheers
Well,
to
let me
you.
just say this. Ali, the cigar analyst, says Riz is dropping elite tips as usual. Um, and then
I'm just sharing. I'm
oh,
sharing
oh,
with you
wait.
guys.
It gets better. It gets better. Mr. Hussein said he is, I can't pronounce his first name. I'm not even going to try. And Ali wants me to massacre it because he's already written that, but I'm not going to because I can't do it. But Mr. Hussein said that he's from Pakistan and he didn't know the mango trick. So now he's all excited. And apparently now he's going to go get mangoes. So
Listen,
there you
mate.
go.
The only
Look at
reason
you.
I say this, the only reason I say this is my grandmother, God bless her, and grandfather. They both passed away sort of like 15 years ago, right? They
Right.
used to have large mango orchards outside the city I was born in, Hyderabad. So outside there,
Right.
it's like a very farming community, right? They
All
are
right.
themselves vejeros. They're
Yeah.
horticulturalists, they're farmers, vejeros. They weren't farmers, but they had these lands, and obviously they cultivated. And the mango thing is like there's like what 8 varieties of mangoes, right? You give them to a foreigner, one will say, "Oh, this is sweet, this is sour, this is bitter." Da,
Right.
da,
Right.
da, da, da. The way to taste the mango, bucket, lots of ice,
Ice.
like lots of ice. Put your mangoes in there, leave them for an hour, cold
Okay.
chop them.
Yeah.
Then, when you cut the mango and put it in your mouth, as it warms, it releases. That's the way.
That's awesome.
That's
I'm
what
going
I
to try
was
that.
taught, and I've
All
shared
right.
it with you. And that is just an analogy of perhaps what's going on with Cuban
The
cigars.
cigars with the wrappers. But see, and I will say something. And maybe it is psychological, but I think I agree with the guy from Hunters, is that I do taste a difference between a Maduro wrapper and a Connecticut wrapper. Like when I do taste it, and it could, and I'm sure it's a lot to do with the filler. But even when the cigar's not lit, and you know how you kind of put it in your mouth before to see the draw, I can taste the difference. I can say,
Well,
okay, that's definitely, then that's the wrapper. I'm assuming, not the filler.
I'll share with you something that I do. I don't know if it's right or wrong. Often when I'm near the end of a cigar, I guess when I'm near the end of the cigar, the proportion of wrapper has increased to the proportion of cigar. But I could be wrong about that, right? I
Right.
always do things like this. I'm trying to taste what I'm getting on my lips, and
Yeah.
sometimes you get a bit of a nuttiness or a sort of savoriness. I think, and this is just throwing it out there, I think I'm tasting the minerality of the wrapper.
Possibly. But see, because I drink mine with scotch and not coffee or Coca-Cola, when I do that, I taste Macallan 25. So
You know,
I'm just
we
saying.
can't all live
I
in
hear you.
your elevated.
Oh my God, please stop it. Later we'll be drinking 50 and thinking of
I
you.
can't
Anyway,
believe it. I can't believe it. We're
yeah.
30 minutes in. I've been fucking talking technicality of cigars for 30 minutes. I didn't
And
really
I
understand. I didn't.
and the fans love it. They're going crazy. I mean, they're just like oh my God. It's like the unbelievable. That's how much they love it.
No, but that's good. But these are sharing tips. These are
Yes, I
sharing
agree.
tips. Like
Yeah.
I've learned a lot from much younger cigar smokers around me
Hmm.
about how to smoke a cigar. I mean, like the retrohaling process that I've engaged in for solidly last sort of like at least 2 years, maybe no, year and a half, 2 years. The
Right,
retrohaling
right.
process, my God, if you don't retrohale a cigar, and there's a shout out to AJ Patel on this one, who says
Yeah.
if you don't retrohale cigars, you may as well just put them in a dustbin, right? Because you're not absorbing the
Really?
oils into your system.
Okay.
Right. The whole point of smoking an expensive cigar is not to look like a complete fucking knob-end sitting in a cigar lounge holding a cigar like that, right? And there's enough of those, yeah? If you want to be an
Yeah.
aficionado,
Sure. Yeah.
if you want to translate your enthusiasm to aficionado level,
Yeah.
and aficionado level in the most real way, not just call yourself an aficionado. There
Aficionado,
are some
right.
people who call themselves cigar aficionados and they're not, but I'm talking the actual merited way, yeah? you have to find and constantly be searching for more and more ways. I mean, it's a little bit like, I shouldn't project this on the show, but there's a certain white powder that, if you put it on your teeth, on your gums, you get more.
Baking soda. Sure. Yeah, baking soda. Yeah, I got it.
Baking soda. So what we're trying to do is get all the oils out of the cigar,
Right.
sometimes on your lips, sometimes on your tongue, sometimes in your sinus, sometimes on the inside of your nose, wherever you can taste those oils.
Right.
And then the condition of that is that you really should try to smoke a cigar slower so that you're not generating that much heat at the end of the cigar. So basically smoke as cold a cigar. I mean, it sounds like a weird word to use.
Right.
As
Right.
cold a cigar as possible, so that the extraction of oils and aromas from the cigar is slow,
Mhm.
constant, and there's no charring or burning that gives you that bitterness. Sometimes your cigar's going black and it's got sort of charcoaly and
Right. Yep.
cut the cigar a little bit there, start again, try and get the ash at least gray, if not white. That depends
Right.
on the quality of the tobacco, but the harder you drag on a cigar, the more, some people like to have like a fucking firestorm going on the end of their
Yeah.
cigar, right? Each their own. If you like that, you like that, right? But
Right.
that's not the way of extracting oils from those leaves. And so a person and an industry and a whole culture has spent so much fucking effort to grow those leaves with oils to get to you, and you're just fucking them off to the winds.
I agree. I agree.
I fear I may have been speaking a bit too much on this occasion. I apologize.
Oh my God, please stop. You're not a pussy. Anyway, no, I like that. I think it's good that people understand different ways to smoke cigars because most people don't understand what retrohaling is. Remember, most people, and to your point, especially because they read Cigar Official magazine or they watch some video and guy goes, "I'm getting the woody, nutty coconut flavor of Hawaiian punch," and then you guys ask me what I'm getting, and I'm like, I don't know, it's just a good smoke. So I guess my analogy is more Cuban when I didn't know it, and everybody else's analogy is more New World, trying to explain what they taste. And I'm more like, no, it's good tobacco. I enjoy the smoke.
No,
I don't taste anything.
there is a merit.
Yeah,
There is a merit to talking about various flavors and aromas you
yeah,
think you're getting, right? Because
right,
basically, someone says I'm getting like coffee or nuts.
hmm,
You're not really getting. There's no coffee or nuts infused into that cigar, right?
right, right,
What you're doing is those oils are triggering scent and taste memories in your brain.
right,
You're kind of being tricked, not in a bad way.
right,
That flavor is not infused in that cigar. If you're getting coffee from a Cuban cigar, there is no coffee in that cigar. There's no infusion of
right,
coffee in that cigar. You're just being given triggers, scent triggers and
right,
taste triggers. Okay, it's okay to talk about these things as a medium of communicating to another person what you think that cigar is like.
right,
It's a sort of a unit of communication. All these terms, bit like wines, yeah. And wine is made of grapes, yeah. How can you be tasting apples and hedgerows
right,
and
right,
birds flying over? You can't taste those things.
right,
You're being triggered with memories that give you a
right,
certain characteristic that helps you describe your experience to someone else and share your experience with someone else so that they perhaps can also get something similar, right?
right,
So you have like standard characteristics. Now, if there is a flavor that actually is infused into a Cuban cigar,
right,
it's got to be cedar because they're kept in cedar boxes.
right,
They've got cedar covers. Humidors are made of cedar. So if you're getting cedary flavor, it is because really that is a
with
natural infusion you're going to get by way of where these cigars are stored.
right. I,
But
but
you're not
most
you're not
people,
storing. So, for example, you're not if you were to take a truffle and put it in a box of cigars and say, "Oh, we've
yeah,
infused it with truffles," right?
right.
If That's one thing, but you're never going to taste truffles, and it's just not going to happen. You're not going to taste apples. You're not going to taste coffee. You're
The
going to be
only
given taste cues.
right, the only infusion that you're going to get is at Arnie's house when he infuses it with tequila. That's it. Where Arnie dips it in tequila
Even
for
me,
you.
I've done it before.
I
I've
know.
done it before, and I'll
All
be
right.
honest with you. Yeah, you pick up a bad cigar, an uninteresting cigar,
Right.
fuck it, man. You want to enjoy yourself? Enjoy yourself. What's wrong with
Oh, he
you?
doesn't smoke
Do what
bad
you want.
cigars. I think what
Dip a
Arnie smokes
Cuban in.
punch.
If you want to dip, do what you
Mhm.
want to do, right? But also have the sense to try it pure.
Right.
That's
My
all.
dog agrees. My dog agrees with you. So,
I
but
mean, you can cut up a mango and put it on top of jelly, yeah. But
right,
try
right.
the mango on its own first.
Yeah. I, like I've always said, non-Cubans like these, my CAO Brazilians, they're great for smoke, not a lot of flavor. Cubans, I notice I get smoke, but not as much as I get from a non-Cuban, and I can taste a little bit of flavor. But to me, I don't. When you guys are all talking about your woodiness and your thisness, and Usman had that tasting test and all this,
Yeah. That was
I'm
outstanding.
like, yeah, and that's awesome. But at the end of the day, I think I'm very much then like the Cuban people, where I'm like, it's either a good smoke or it's a bad smoke. It's good tobacco or bad tobacco. There's some stuff you light up and it's like crap, and you're done. And there's other stuff you light up where you're like, I need to buy like as many boxes of this as I can. And I think that's
Ali,
just that's it.
I just saw because you encouraged me to look at the comments. I just saw Ali
Uh,
ask a question about what's the craziest note I've got out of the cigar. Well, it wasn't a Cuban cigar, right? A very controversial cigar for me. It was a Mirafell Richard, or maybe even a
mm,
Ricard or Ricardo. I don't know, but it was called a Richard, right? Mirafell Richard. I smoked this maybe more than a year ago, and
okay.
number six. Me and a friend who was sitting in front of me, we got the exact same thing. We lit the cigar,
Hmm.
and for maybe the first three puffs, we got apple.
Really?
I mean, we couldn't believe it. We were looking at each other. We got apple, and after three puffs, it was gone.
Okay.
Um, Short, succinct answer. I won't explain myself too much, but that is the craziest tasting note we've ever had.
Right. I wonder what Clinton got when he did the thing with Monica Lewinsky. I wonder what taste he got. Oh, anyway, that's just a just a thought. So no comment, huh?
Uh, it's me. I almost did pass a comment, but
Oh, I know. You're trying to be
I'm
more
trying to be.
professional. I understand. Yeah.
No, not more professional. I'm trying to be a nicer individual, and
Why?
and has it been working? Has it been working? I don't know. Jury's out.
I kind of like it when you were, not nice, but we're getting used to it. And then one day you're going to go back to the old guy, and I'll be like, great, I got this guy back. So there you go.
Well,
So,
there you go. Things that are good, including your dear self, including your humble self, they're only
thank you
good
so
if
little.
they're only good if they're in measure. If you overkill, then
Yeah.
people get used to it.
I'm just this is just it. This is just me. But I like that. I'm like I said, I think the fans are enjoying the cigar histories. I think they're enjoying the technical aspect. Um, if we have surprise guests coming up, they'll just have to, I guess, to tune in or watch when we put out that we're live or watch the rebroadcast. But I think some of the surprise guests that'll be coming over the next couple of months, we'll be doing shows longer than an hour, and I think there'll be tons of questions for them.
By the way, I missed it. I got thing. Usman's jumping up and down. He's saying he hasn't got the link.
Really? Do we have to give? Should we give Uzman a link?
Well, it depends. If there's no bombs
Let's
falling or whatever.
All right, yeah, let's bring him in for. I didn't see that.
Or
Where's my
some of the
link?
Pakistanis on this channel will understand. Veguero.
All
Private
right,
joke.
there's his
In-house
link.
joke.
Let's see. The Uzman's going to be joining
Veguero.
us. I see that Uzman's going to join us. How exciting for us!
Well, you don't know that. You send a link. Maybe he is, maybe he isn't.
No, we just sent it to him. Where's the? What's this?
We're
Here
here
for
for the
for the
aggressiveness. What the
aggressiveness. I love
fuck
Ali.
aggressiveness, man? If you want aggressiveness,
Here he is, ladies and gentlemen.
if you
Here he
want
comes.
aggressiveness, you got to find me. You got to find me in a mood. Oh, there you go. There you go.
There he
There
is.
you go. There's.
Yeah,
So
I
Usman's
don't,
done a
I
lot of
don't.
talking on this occasion. Let me just say, it's called the Prodigal Son. The Prodigal Son has returned.
And here's a picture of the
So
prodigal son.
okay. So I said that I am unavailable for 1 week. You guys forgot sending me
Yeah.
the link last week and today as well. Very cool.
Well,
Very cool.
no, it's
No, you guys. I'm
listen.
not in charge of the show. I blame.
No,
I'm not.
no, 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 no,
No,
no.
I
I
blame
blame
Stephen.
I blame you and Stephen
What
both.
the fuck? Blame me for what? Blame me for what? I'm holding up my side of the deal. I'm holding up my end. I'm propping up. I'm holding up the histories.
Yeah,
Oh my!
right.
Yeah.
I'm holding up the
And
histories until the prodigal son returns, but it
there you
seems
go.
the prodigal son, basically, the prodigal son. This is what happened with the prodigal son. Sitting back, saying, "What these fucking interesting histories? Where's my piece?
Yeah,
Here's,
yeah. And you know what? The dog ate his homework 2 weeks in a row.
here's my
And
piece." So
there's some
Usman. So
fake.
okay,
There's a
okay,
fake
Yeah,
war.
Usman, put
right.
Usman
Yeah,
on the spot now.
yeah,
Put
yeah.
Usman on the spot now.
There's a fake war. We had the
Vejeros,
fake. We had the
supplement
fake
my
war.
Vejeros
Oh
history.
my
Tell me.
god! Oh, he left. You upset him. Now he's
No,
gone.
no,
I hope
no,
you're
no, no,
happy.
no, 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 no,
Says
no.
who?
He's no, he's there.
Says
He's
who?
there in spirit. He's
Says
moving around his room
Oh,
to
he's got to
get
go
you
sit in front.
something about
Yep,
Vejeros.
yep.
I sense the force is strong in this one.
Oh,
no, no,
it's
no,
the
no. You both thought that I was actually messing up with you when I wasn't right, and I
Look, I even
wasn't
bought
like
Vejero
ready.
Green. Vejero
We're
Green.
waiting for Usman. You need to show yourself because the fans want to see your face. I mean, two of them
Really?
do. Yeah,
I,
sure.
I
Why
don't
not?
care. I don't care about the fans as long as you both want to see my face. Is what's
We
what
want to
the
see your
story.
face, Usman. We
Yeah,
want to see
right.
your
Okay.
face. There
So
you go. Because the dog ate your homework.
I wasn't only ready with the Veguero
Oh, look at that.
as as Reza said, because I was
Yeah.
also thinking, and I was so ready that I had actually taken out one of the most rare ashtrays that you would
That's a
find
fucking nice ashtray.
made by cigar taste of
You
the
could
Vegueros.
do your history right now if you want. We can have two
Actually, no,
histories
no,
on the
no, no, no,
show.
not history. I want to ask a technical question of Usman. Usman, what is the largest Vejero Vitola? Centro Gordo.
Centro, Centrofino.
If okay, so can I direct Ali? I think Ali asked this
This
question or
is
Qasim
this
asked
is
this question.
this is Centro Gordo.
Okay.
Okay, this is Centro Gordo. Centro Gordo. See again, what is the largest vitola in terms of ringage? If you're talking about, then this is one. If you're talking in terms of the length, then it is Centrofino. Yes. What
Fucking hell.
I can't. I can see there are two tins, but I can't read. Okay, so one says Centrofino and the other one is a Tapado, if I'm not wrong, right?
And then we've got the Mananitas, which I smoked loads of those.
Mananitas, yeah, yeah.
And then we've got what else we got?
There would be Entrempinos.
No, no, no. Hang on. No, Ocho Tiempos.
Entrempinos, yeah.
No,
Did you
Entre
buy all?
Tiempo.
Did you buy all these, or someone give these to you as a gift?
No, 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 no. These tins, basically, I smoked throughout last summer. I was smoking
I can,
tins
I
and
can, I
tins
can,
of Vejeros. And to
I don't know which leg of Veguero's history did Reza broke today, but, but I can say that this is one brand I say is the most underrated brands
yeah, it's underrated.
in the Habanos portfolio. Out of the 27 brands that are there, this
Right.
to me is the most underrated because out of the three value brands, which is Vagueros, Jose El Piedra, and Quinteros, this is the only one which has a long filler. So it is a triple lager as compared to the other two, which are short filler cigars.
If
Oh,
you were
okay.
to give a recommendation to someone who's not smoked a Vejero, which one should they start with?
I would
Yeah, that's
ideally
an
say,
alley.
Tupado or Mananita to start off with because they are short. Because remember, these cigars have strength. So Vagueros is a slightly medium to full body strength sometimes in few of the vitolas. So someone who's very new to cigars, I wouldn't recommend this as the first cigar. But yes, if somebody has budget constraints, I would say this is the best Habano they can get in an amazing budget.
It's bang for buck. It is very
Oh,
bang for
Thanks a lot.
buck.
any given day. See, something which is just $6, $7, $8. I mean, what are you going to talk about? A full length, full cigar, and that too with a triple arga, which is a
With a
long filler cigar. Why
with a
not?
longish history
Absolutely,
of
absolutely.
being in.
And I don't know if Raza said or not, but just so that you know, this is made in the same factory where Trinidad is made.
Yeah, I did
Yeah,
say that.
he
Yeah.
did say that.
So
Yeah, yeah.
so
Now,
so so so
Mr. Hussein
yes.
says is I can't pronounce his first name, and Ali's trying me to do it because he wants me to mess it up.
Qasim Hussein.
Qasim Hussein?
Yes,
Qasim?
Qasim Hussein.
I
Yep.
got it, Ali. Screw you. Anyway, Qasim says, and
Yes,
now I
Ali,
can pronounce. It
Habano.
says, yes. Qasim says, if they get rid of the metal
Metal tins and
tins and
use
put it in
leather
cedar
boxes instead.
boxes, more people would probably buy it.
I agree to what he's saying, but I would
Right.
really be happy if they keep it this way, and I
It's
don't
a
want.
very smart
Mhm.
tin. It's a very smart product.
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't want them to do anything to these, so that at
The-
least there is one cigar which is in our bloody range and is a guilt-free cigar. See, the problem
well,
right now is
I'm going.
with Habanos, everything is coming to a stage where it is becoming a pain for regular smokers, especially the ones who smoke 2 to 3 cigars a day.
I'm,
See,
Right.
it's even with the basic cigars, you're talking about 18, $20, $25. So if you smoke 2 to 3 cigars, it's coming to around 75 to $100 a day. And if you're in the UK market, we're talking of £100 every single day. Now, I wouldn't really want them to look at this, and that is why I am like, just pick it up as many as you can and buy them and age them. These aged are amazing. And just so that everyone knows, and Kasim, if you do not like the tins, you can buy them in the packaging of fours, which is a 16 concentration as well. Pack of fours, buy four. But I like the tins for two reasons. One, it does not compromise the integrity of the cigar, even with the box or something like that. So you're okay with keeping them as is. Just put a small bovida in them, and you are fine. It is like keeping them in the aluminum tube. So they are perfectly fine, and they age superb in those tins. So do that, and you would see that the tin is actually very, very helpful in this case.
And Mr. Hussein also says the brand isn't the typical Abanos. Thank you, Ali. Which I think is why it doesn't appeal to a
well,
lot of
no,
people.
may I slightly disagree? May I say it is a
It's a
I'm just reading what
beautiful
he
very
wrote.
band.
typical
It's a
Habanos.
beautiful band. It
No,
is
no,
a
no, no, no,
beautiful
no,
band.
no, no. It is a very typical Abanos. We're
Right.
Yeah.
just used to seeing something else. It is very ingrained in Cuban cigar. I mean, it's been around since 1961.
Right.
Yeah, within their market, as I said, it's used on their national festive days. It was a cigar that was brought out for festive occasions.
Yeah.
It's a cigar of history. Well, the whole point of these histories is a cigar which has history. It didn't just depend. I mean, if anything, one could make a case that the real one of the super brands like K Dorsey is kind of just contrived. Is contrived.
Right.
Vejeros, which is named after the farmers of the Vejeros,
Right. Right.
is actually a very, very Cuban brand.
Right. Ali says it looks like a Marvel superhero cigar.
And don't forget, everyone, Usman bleeds green.
Oh, I do. I do. To be honest, if somebody would have seen the few articles initially that were published when I used to be very active on Cigar Keep, and if you see that, or in my earlier posts, you would see in my top 4 or 5 cigars, this was always one of my choice as the most underrated cigars. And I
Okay.
swear by it from the day I've actually found them,
It's
which
underrated.
was, which was back,
Absolutely underrated.
yeah, which was back in 2017, 18-ish types, when I just stumbled upon these, across these in a duty free in Dubai.
Usman, can you name all the vitolas, please?
Of
So
course.
I will supplement me. There's the
Okay.
Mananitas,
Mananitas,
Centrofinos,
Tapados. Sorry. Wait. Let's go by their existence. So Mananitas, Tapados, Entrem,
Ultratiempos.
Entrotiempos. These are three. Then the fourth one, which came after these, was Centrofino, and now the latest is the Centrogordo.
Is there not one more?
No, these are the five which are the current Vitolas.
The five.
These are the
Five
five current
vitolas.
Vitolas. These are the five current Vitolas. I've had the pleasure of smoking Vegueros in their first release. Also, the Vegueros number 1, which is Vegueros numero uno, Vegueros numero dos, and the Sloans. The Sloans, they were in the pack of five beautiful cigars. Again, if they aged really well. So those were the formats of the original Habanos Dimensions, which were thin cigars, and I thoroughly liked them. House of Grauer in Switzerland was the source where I got those from initially, and I sincerely enjoyed and thoroughly enjoyed those. Kasim has asked another question in terms of the metal tin and the effect on taste and flavor. I guess, Kasim, when I shared my point of view on keeping them in a tin and putting a bovida covers that, but I hope it answers your question.
And Qasim's also excited that I finally got his name right.
Oh
So
yeah.
don't
See,
next week I'll
Kasim,
screw it up again until I hear it
Even a
pronounced.
broken clock
Kasim,
is right 2 times a day.
no, Kasim should thank
You're
me
right by
for
accident.
for coming on the show and telling him how the name is spelled.
I know, because it was just going to be Mr. Hussein until you did come on the show. So yes, Qasim, we got Ali Ali said earlier before you came on, he said, I'm waiting for Steven to screw up Qasim's name again. So I was like, yeah, not a problem. I'm not. That's why I go with what I can go with, because I always feel bad when I screw up people's name.
Yep,
So that is, I think this is an interesting brand. I think
it is. It is.
and apparently there's tons of them lying around in London. So I don't know if they're going to sell out like all the other brands we do histories of. So
Oh,
it'll be
this
interesting to see.
the thing is, Stephen. Again, it is not a brand which gives a lot of value
Right.
to the sellers. That is why they don't push it, or they don't, because see, this is the, like, if you go to any of the big stores within the US market, or where it is a big market for the non-Cubans, you
Right.
would see a lot of cigars come in the form of bundles as well, in addition to the boxes, right?
Right. Yep.
Even with premium brands, or big brands like Nubs have their bundles, which is like no band bundles and all that stuff, which are
Right.
sold for slightly cheaper price. So these are the only three brands which come in the form of a bundle. And because of them being in the value category, where Quinteros and Jose Vil Piedra also come in those bundles, people have always thought that these are also cheap cigars like those
Gotcha.
two and the short fillers. Little did they know that this is a long filler cigar, and once they got to get to know, they will actually start appreciating it. I have a feeling that a lot of people, of course, Penal, well, that goes the same. Again, the thing is that these cigars, uh, if aged just for a year, they can do wonders. They are
Okay.
absolute beauty for a cigar smoker. That's one. The second thing I would also like to say is, a lot of people don't know that out of the 27 brand, there are actually three brands still which are short fillers. So a lot of people think that because these three are in the value category, sorry, not the value category, the volume category, which is why they are in the form of bundles or tins.
Right.
Maybe these are the three. The third one, which is a short filler and not amongst the volume category, is La Flor de Cano, which
Hmm.
is the one which is a short filler cigar. Uh, and based on that, I would hopefully do that history in the next time, because I'm
Okay.
sure that is one of those histories which is missed and forgotten most of.
If you don't mind, it won't be that one. I've pledged to do part 2 of Cohiba, which I'm going to do the Behike. So
Well,
if we
you
want
do
to do
it.
Behike, if we want to cover Behike together, you do it maybe on the technical side. I'll do it on the story side. We could do that.
We'll, sure, I'm okay with it.
All
We'll
right. So the B case
take
next
it.
week, and then we can do that. Now I will say in America, if you go to Miami, you can go to the Padron cigar
Mhm.
factory, for lack of a better term, in Miami
Miami.
Gardens, and you can buy bundles there. In the
Really?
store. Yeah, you can go. And the story was that Mr. Padron used to sell them out the back door to the older Cuban gentlemen, because he felt bad that they couldn't buy the more expensive cigars, so they would bundle and sell them that way. So they do have a shop in Miami that you can go into. Now, last time I was there was 10 years ago. They might have changed that, but you can go in there, and you can buy stuff from them right there. So yeah, so it's very cool.
So those are Padron cigars in the form of a bundle.
You can get bundles there. You can get anything there. Yeah, they sell bundles at their office in Miami in Miami Gardens. If it's off of like 183 or something, I don't remember.
I've been tempted for a US visit this year. In any case, it looks like I need to put Miami and Florida on the list in any case.
That's the only reason you'd go there, other than to meet the Puerto Rican non-Jew Ruben. You go there to meet him. That's
That
other
is,
than that,
that is one of the reasons
right?
as well. No, my plan is that if I plan on doing the US this year, then I would at least come or cover two cities. Whereas I would come meet you in person, and I would go meet Ruben in person for sure.
Cool. And then the guy who has all my cigars that never made it over, you can bring them.
Oh, you're talking about, oh, okay, that for sure. But are we talking of the other guy who was to make and come to Pakistan for almost a year now?
Oh, that guy, he's never coming to Pakistan. No, he's
Yeah,
not coming. Yeah, that guy's not coming to Pakistan.
I'm on
Even
the
though
I'm
he
on
was
the
born there.
I'm on the exit control list.
Yeah,
yeah.
I bet. So,
And control list of the United Kingdom of Great Britain.
Yeah, pick one. It doesn't matter going out, coming back in.
it's the same with the US. We have a list apparently now too. So, but neither of you are Chinese, so you're okay. So there you have it.
Basically because of my controversial statements,
Which is what?
which I've stopped making as a result of Usman. I've stopped making controversial statements.
Oh my God.
Yeah, unfortunately for Usman's been waiting for an opportunity to, and I've given him no opportunity.
I
He's
can
been
vouch.
wanting to jump on me, but
Whoa, whoa, whoa. That's not this type of show. Come on. So that's a different show
I've
we
just
do on
been
OnlyFans.
nice. I have calmed down. I've taken his advice. I've just
Oh God. Yeah. Yes, and the fans apparently like it. That's crazy. They like they do try to egg them on though, but it doesn't seem to work. So they do like the new Rizza for some reason. I think it's AI generated personally, but what do I know? So I think the real Rizza is sitting at Tom Tom's right now smoking cigars. So
in
so
my head I
Usman,
am.
guys, I know you'll be there shortly. So
No, he has to go to Tom Tom in a little while.
By the way, on
yeah,
that note, I smoked an incredible cigar, just completely out of the blue. I smoked a 27-year-old aged
What?
Sancho Panza Bellicosos
Yeah, AJ Patel.
with AJ. And let me say,
yeah.
those 27 years aging, I mean, my God. My God. But that cigar suffers from a consistency issue with me. There's an issue with that. Not that particular the age one, right? I'm saying with that Vitola, the Bellicosos. You know when the cigar gets from the wide when it starts, you know when the ring gauge starts falling, just to that point from the wide point. I think this is just a characteristic of this Vitola. The cap, the whole wrapper comes off every single fucking time.
Right.
Okay, so Kasim is saying we should do Fonseca. Ali K is saying Boulevard. Okay, that's fine. We'll do those as well, but it is decided that Raza wants to do Behike
BK
next.
next
I
week.
mean, you don't have to, but I did pledge to do part two of Cohiba. I only went in the Veguero direction today is because I was in that kind of Veguero-y kind of mood. I just thought, you know what, this is something that's on the total opposite end of the spectrum, and it's just as interesting. And that's the only reason I thought we'd go for Veguero, not Veguero, Veguero.
And
Okay.
and Ali says he hasn't seen you smoke a cigar in a little bit. So next week
It's
he doesn't
because
care if
it's
you're going.
because you're catching me at 1 o'clock in the afternoon ish in London. So I love a morning
Congratulations.
smoke. I love an afternoon smoke, and this is Saturday, and virtually every Saturday, I end up in a lounge. Sometimes it's in Belgravia, sometimes it's on
Yeah.
Elizabeth Street, sometimes it's in Tom Tom. And I'm going today to see someone off, someone who's moving from there to another lounge. So I'm going to have a big smoke. So I thought today to focus. I did my research on the
You
Vejero,
did?
but I wanted to give you. I know the devil is in the details, but I like to give a little bit of a story.
Yes, which you
Um,
did.
and my reliance is on Usman for technical detail and prowess. And if you guys have like technical questions, you've got a resident sommelier of Habanos
As long as
cigars.
as long as you both don't forget to send me the link, I will do
Oh
that.
no. Next week we'll send you the link. Now that you know you've returned and the dog didn't eat your homework. So yeah, we're good.
I
So
was back here. I was back here. I was sending comments, and you guys were rating comments as well.
No, I was in the. I know. I would no. That's why. That's why you're on here because I read the comment. But the thing is, I was in the flow of the history,
yeah.
and then the question started. So I thought I just remind Stephen because Stephen in his old age forgets these things.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Uh,
Uh-huh.
No,
I
no.
totally
um,
that.
I actually thought maybe Steven is pissed off with the fact that I did not
Yeah.
attend the session prior to the one. The thing
Stephen,
is,
I've got a
in
Jewish thumb. I've got a
in
Jewish
that
thumb.
one, in that one,
Yeah.
Reza got to know of my reason for not being there prior to me telling you both. So that's why he already told. Hence, I
No,
didn't.
no, 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 no. What happened was is
Can
that
I
the
can I
dog
can
ate
I
the
share
homework.
something? You know what these
Oh,
tins are
that's
good
fine.
for, right?
What are they
Sorry,
good
I'm a
for?
little bit off piece.
The caps of
Virtually
cigars.
every Veguero I've ever had, I've collected the caps in this tin.
Hmm,
Yeah,
very cool.
So with a
You're a
Boveda
moyer.
pack, guess what? Oh,
they smell nice.
Very nice. No, no. And next week we will send you the link now that the dog hasn't eaten your homework and you the fake war is no longer because that was crazy. You had to pay a lot of newspapers and news outlets to cover the
it
fake
was only
war. You
fake
know.
from one side. That war was only
Yes.
fake from one. I
Yes, I was
won't say
just
which
gonna say
side. I won't
that's
say
right,
which
right?
side.
All right. I'm just trying to be like our
Because
president.
I'm trying to be nicer. I no, because it's not right to take sides,
That's right.
even
Ukraine
though
started it. That's how I'm looking at it. Ukraine started between
no.
India and Pakistan.
We
That was
no
it.
no no no. I think I'm a better person for adopting
Oh
Usman's
my God. Please. I'm throwing up in
mantra.
my
Usman's
pants.
mantra. If you do not like someone, if you do
Mm,
not like a situation, pointless
Ignore it.
degenerating. It is pointless. There are jokes I could tell, but if you are enjoying the new format, it is down to Usman up there,
By the way, before
or
you
up to
start
Usman up there.
praising, by the way, you start before you start praising me further, and I again disappear.
yeah.
Ali has said, haven't seen Raza smoke a cigar for a long time.
Yes,
I
you
just
Bet
have.
said that.
Follow my
AI,
Instagram. I'm
bet
constantly
bet bet
smoking
he's
cigars.
AI for the past 1 month, and the cigar analyst says exactly.
Well, what would you like me to
Next
smoke?
week. Next week, smoke a cigar. Your pick.
I
Smoke a
have.
Yeah.
BK.
I well, look. It's pointless me complaining because complaining makes no difference, right? Yeah.
All right.
Because we straddle three time zones,
There
and
we
it's
go.
a Saturday, and it's a
Mm.
Saturday, and it's a Saturday. I find myself between running around, doing the groceries, being back here, etc. I mean, there are some logistics to incorporate. You catch me in the morning, you catch me in the evening. It's there's always a cigar.
Right, but we have to keep catch you in the afternoon because that's when you have your pants on. So we know what we're doing. So, yes, I love you too. So there you go. So, and it's okay to tell jokes. It's fine. We can do. I mean, our fans love us. They're okay with stuff. They
Can I
like the
can I can
banter.
I can I can I ask common consensus? Can I go to back to being brutal?
Yeah, knock yourself out.
Yeah, as long as you don't name names, I'm fine with that.
I don't
I'll
need to
name the
name
names.
names. A monkey
Oh
is still
yeah,
a
right.
monkey. A
Oh yeah,
monkey is a
right.
monkey. A donkey is a
Uh,
donkey.
yeah.
A giraffe. These animal descriptions are almost like flavors in a cigar. They're a
Yeah.
means of communicating different flavors.
Right.
Usman, as far as I'm concerned, is a tiger. Stephen, as far as I'm concerned, is a rhino.
Ooh,
I am an alligator. I lie under the surface and come out and snap occasionally and go back underneath the surface.
okay. Bring
The
back, and
problem is
Ali
the
says, bring
problem
back
is the
the
reason
ruthless
the
Rizza.
problem the problem is I kind of stopped you because the rhino was staying out of the water. Oh, sorry, the crocodile was staying out of the water for a long time these days.
Right.
So please go back to the
No,
water
but
now.
I did. I mean,
The fans want you
for
back.
I think I behaved myself quite well publicly and privately for the last month.
All right,
Is my
then
probation period at an
it's
end?
over. Because here's what
Yeah.
Ali just said, the cigar analyst. He says, bring back the Ruthless Rizza. So yeah, it's
Oh
over
yeah.
and it's done. You need to come back. Come back home, son. It's okay.
with
Mommy
with
and
with
daddy
with,
love you.
with, with the man's permission.
Well, I said I'm okay as long as you don't name names.
Yes. So he
I
said
never did
yes.
name names.
He really didn't name any names.
It's all right. I said what I had to say.
I
You can continue.
describe I like to describe my experiences in different words. Sometimes we engage in what's called anthropomorphism, which is
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's a,
people turned into animals, and zoomorphism, which is animals turned into human beings. Whichever direction you go,
Okay.
it's a nice way of characterizing, for me, for my descriptive, let's call it literary license. Let's call
there
it
we go.
literary license, yeah,
Okay, Mark
or
Twain.
poetic license.
Yeah, yeah, we can
I
now
like
as
to
well.
take poetic license,
Yeah.
but with Usman's permission, because it was Usman who subdued this. Basically,
Sorry,
what
Steve.
Usman did is, if I
Sorry,
was a rapper, he
sorry,
sprayed me with
Stephen.
water
Sorry,
and said,
Stephen,
"Come
for
down."
making him go under the water because of me.
Okay, let's bring him back. Let's kick him in the nuts and bring him to the
Yeah,
surface.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So,
Reza, please
No,
be
no, no,
Reza
no, but
again.
I see Usman still stalling. He hasn't really. He could
he
say,
said
"Reza,
five
no."
times you can come back.
No, no,
Let's
Reza,
just
Usman
you
could
send him
can,
say
there.
Reza, you
no.
can come back.
Usman
Reza,
could
you
say,
can come
"Reza,
back.
no, just stay that way," or he could say, "Listen, man, yes, you proved yourself, but go for it." You could do
Okay,
that.
go for it. Reza, go for
Go
it.
for it. Go for it. Ooh.
Look at that! You put a smile back on my face. I can bite again.
Uh, here we
Yeah.
go. Now, wait a minute. This is going to go for it. We have to celebrate. So here we go, kids. Now we're celebrating.
Oh
There you
yeah.
have it. There we go. This will be an interesting rest of the show,
The
and next week
last
should be really
show that
fun.
I do where I'm like,
Nice. I pity the people on the tubes that say, I saw you today. It's going to tell them to fuck off.
yeah, well, if they say that, they're gonna fucking run and jump into a river. So listen.
Allie says we got the stamp of authority. So there you go. Usman says you can be you
Yeah.
again. So
No, he's my younger
congratulations.
brother. If he says go for it, go for it. If he says stop, I say okay. Stop.
Well, he said go for it. So stop your whining already. Worse than a pill.
I'm basically an alligator on a leash, if you know what I
Oh my
mean.
God.
Yeah.
Well, the leash is
No,
off,
no,
my
no.
friend.
I said the
There
leash
is,
is off.
there was no leash at all. It was just you being requested to stay underwater. That's it.
Did I fulfill your request?
Yes, sir, you did.
Say that
Well,
one
now
more
you got.
time. It's recorded.
Yes, sir, you did.
Okay. And now,
Graciously.
all right. And now you don't have to do it anymore. Thank God. Because that was just a waste. So that was 30 days of hell. Now I can go to London because now you're going to be you and not this nice pussy that you were for a month. So being nice, holding doors for little old ladies, not pushing people down the stairs. Now we got you back. Now I'm excited.
There's. I seem to. You know, you just invoked a memory. There was a when I was a kid. There was a book about a crocodile that kept
Yeah.
its mouth open, and it's a very weird memory. They said, "Welcome, welcome, welcome," and
Right.
the birds walked into the mouth to pick the meat, you just went.
Well, and we've picked the meat and it's time to go back to you. So next week,
Can I
yeah,
criticize what I think is wrong about the cigar industry at some stage?
please knock yourself out.
No,
Yes,
no, no,
please.
not today, not today, not today, because
Thank
Usman's
you.
just waking up to this.
Oh, okay.
Just waking up to this. But
Okay.
can I go and destroy everyone that I think is an asshole in the
Oh,
industry?
please. Oh, we'd love that.
Of course.
So, Usman had to clear his throat there. Oh, God.
Usman's going to call
He
you
said,
during the week and go,
what
listen,
have I
be nice.
released? Release the Kraken. Release the Kraken. The
We've
Kraken is
released the Kraken. Yeah. So next week we're going to go to it. Yeah. You should. I think I tell you
Listen,
something.
if you don't like what I have to say, if you don't like what I
You
have to
turn off.
say,
You can
and
turn off the channel.
I'm not talking about Usman, turn it off. Or
Yeah.
just take my words, put them in the bin, and say there's just an old man ranting, you know what, he can go and fuck
And I
himself.
think
I'm
And I
happy to
think
take it.
you hit it on the nail with old. Anyway, I think the thing that
Younger than
you
you,
have to
certainly.
love you too. I think what you have to I think part of what the show is and part of what the fans like is they do like the fact that you call out stuff because most people that do a cigar show, whether they're doing like we do mostly have Habanos, thank you, Ali, or they do
in,
non-Cuban. I
in
think
this
they
in this
but
absence of
they don't kill
Usman's
anybody else.
in this
That's the
absence of
problem.
Usman's intellect, this was a vacuum where I had to compensate with oxygen, right?
Yes, and you
Absolutely
used
not.
it.
Since the oxygen is back, So let's call it refreshing. Let's see if it's
Yeah,
refreshing. At least for me, it's refreshing. It's refreshing to be on a social media platform where I can say, well, look, you know what? Maybe I push a bit too far, by the way, right?
yeah,
I can freely admit I push a bit too far. Yeah. But sometimes, in order to communicate to people, if you say, "Well, I didn't particularly like this," it doesn't. You
yeah,
don't
yeah.
communicate. Sometimes you have to push more for
I
people
agree.
to understand that these are real issues. These are serious
Yeah,
issues that people encounter in their cigar smoking experiences, whether they're in London, Cuba, Dubai, Pakistan,
right,
Singapore. People encounter complex. It's not the place that it was 15, 20 years ago. It's a much more diverse in terms of cigar smoking. I'm talking about. I'm not talking about in
right,
terms of transgender community here, right? We're talking about the cigar smoking. There is a diversity of cigar smokers. There's a diversity of cigar smoking communities. There's a diversity of cigar retailers. There's a
right,
diversity of cigar non-retailers who are sellers. There are people who are selling accessories. There are, like, if I go and sit in a cigar lounge these days, right? I don't know what Usman's experience is in Pakistan or his travel to Cuba. You know what? Almost one third of the people in a cigar lounge are there to sell you something, whether it's an
right.
accessory, whether it's a cigar, whether it's a cigar under the table, whether it's, they're not there just to freely smoke. They're there as part of a lifestyle experience because cigars are so expensive. Cuban cigars we're talking about, right? Real cigars, yeah.
Yeah,
This industry is an expensive industry. It's full of people that are spending good money to smoke these cigars, right? And they're like it's like shooting fish in a barrel. When you have people sitting in a lounge, you use a captive audience.
right.
So you get the nefarious element, you get the very nice element, you get an educational element, and that's what I'm trying to communicate. The flavor, the complexity. Usman comes from I don't want to put words in Usman's mouth, but Usman comes from a different region. His experiences are different. He's a far more learned, educated person when it comes to the technicalities of cigar smoking and experience of cigar smoking. So he brings his thing. Stephen brings his Cuban cigars to the front, right? Yeah. So I think there's a mixture. We make a bit of a
Yeah,
layer cake with different
yeah.
flavors and different things, and sometimes
And
when you
that's
bite into a cake, after the creaminess, you get the sharpness of strawberry.
and that's what the fans enjoy. And I think you being you
Absolutely.
again and you calling out BS in the industry not only helps the people that go and smoke cigars, but it actually helps the industry because we know the industry watches it because they all tell you they watch it off the screen. And we get comments about people watching it, whether it's on a LinkedIn page, whether it's on Instagram, whether it's here. So we know they watch it. So when you say something, it carries weight. It just doesn't carry weight with the people buying cigars because we know cigars sell out when you talk about it. But it carries industry and
These are
it
just
carries weight in the
suggestions.
industry.
If you like them, go for it, right?
No, you're just you're
I
saying what the you're saying what the on it. You're saying what the average person thinks, but they can't go and talk to XYZ who's in charge of something. So when you say it, they're like, "Ooh, he has his pulse on the cigar consumer. We should listen to him." So that's a compliment to you. So you being, I don't want to say anything disingenuous, a pussy, and that doesn't help. But when you're you, I think that helps not only cigar people, but the cigar industry in general and the aficionados. It helps everybody. So in the long run, you being you is a beautiful thing. And
Absolutely.
there you go. And so now the cigar analyst says so next week is going to be the return of Ruthless Rizza. And the return of Usman doing the history BK. No, they're going to do the BK together, Ali. So you don't want to miss it. That is true. You don't want to miss next week. Next week's going to be, I'm sure, an interesting show. So we're
Absolutely.
going to
My
have all the
fiendish, my
boys are back.
fiendish little brain is thinking up of something to concoct for next week's show.
Oh, I'm
Oh
sure
my
it is. I'm
God.
God. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure it is. Yeah, it'll be fun to see. I can't wait. This is exciting. So, gentlemen, what do you think? Are we going to say goodbye to the fans and see them next
Yeah.
week, or do you guys
We got
want to
to
say
wrap
any
up
parting
Absolutely.
now.
words?
We got to wrap up.
Absolutely. Wrap
Now we
up.
got to wrap up. Gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen that have watched live, thank you so much. For the people that are watching it rebroadcast, thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Tell your friends or your enemies. Pick it out. If you see Riz in the street, give him a hug because he loves that. And make sure you buy the cigar that we spoke about today. And we'll have the
It's
Anna
worth, but
Lopez
it's worth
review.
trying. It's worth
Yeah,
trying. My recommendation is to start
Absolutely.
at Mananita, or
Absolutely.
Mananitas, Usman's
oh, really
recommendation
quick,
was the
Ali,
Centro Fino.
Ali did asking you, Ali, the cigar interview with Zhao is up. If you go to our channel, you go under the playlist, look for Habano interviews.
Yeah,
And it
it's
is
there.
there. It's also in, if you just go to where
I
our videos, it's there.
misrecorded. There are certain elements missing. It was actually a much more detailed, and the recording stopped, etc. Isn't technically, but I put up
That's fine.
in short part what I found. Maybe people find it interesting, maybe they don't. But that's an avid cigar smoker collector at some ridiculous level.
Yeah. So once again, you can see the Zhao interview. What I'll do on the rebroadcast of the show is I'll actually put the link. But if you go to our main channel at 20F and you go to videos, it's about 4 videos in, and there's the Zhao interview. You can see that. Anna Lopez interview will be coming out in the next week or so. And they'll all be under all the interviews, all the histories are in their own little playlist called Interviews in History. So you can catch them all there. And that's it, boys. We'll all be back, the 3 of us, apparently, next week. And let's see what the final thing is. Agreed. Amazing live. Thank you so much, everybody. We thank you. We're glad you love the show. We love you guys. Thanks to the fans. And as always, Gio, me, I have to get more McKellen 25. Boys, it's always good. And Rizza, don't forget, stay on after. You know, he's old. We have to help him out. And that's it. See you guys all later. Cheers, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe.